It is Tuesday at 7, another episode, and today we are going to be talking with Dott von Schneider.
Hi, kids.
And of course, we try to get here right on time to give people the opportunity to share and to connect. I think when I talk to a lot of people, did you share?
Yeah, I got it. I got it. Yeah, thanks.
So we talk to a lot of people. It's kind of interesting that a lot of folks will watch this just on their phone, either live and do a little bit of interactive questioning and such. And we also have folks that watch it later. Sometimes they'll cast it on their television, but I think the lion's share of people will actually watch it, with earbuds.
Mm-hmm.
And they've always said it kind of feels like a kind of an intimate conversation with some folks.
That's cool.
And that's a whole intention behind this Tuesday at 7 is to align a collective community and to have just kind of meaningful conversations and learn about folks and what makes them tick and where they started and where they're going to. But welcome.
Thank you. I love the whole concept of the show. It's fantastic. It's weird to be on this side of the table.
So you've been on the other side of the table, right?
Yeah.
Interviewing
artists and reviewing shows, previewing art shows. Yeah. So visual arts. Can I say?
Yeah.
I'm the visual arts writer for Cleveland Scene magazine, and among other things, it's really cool to be part of this because I love interviewing people. I love talking to people about what they do, and so it's like, and I don't think I've been interviewed in a long time.
Well,
so
this is a great night to interview. But so as I kind of gave a little introduction, just announcing out who we were going to have today, your Facebook profile lists artist, writer, curator, bartender, Cronie.
Yeah.
In that order. Is that how you kind of would
that's
align your?
Yeah, that's my elevator speech.
Yeah.
For sure. I'm an artist first. I'm a visual artist. I was working full-time jobs as a secretary for like 30 years. So when I was from 17 to 47, and that full-time job and trying to make artwork at the same time was that's two full-time jobs. So at 47 I said, forget this. I really want to do some, I want to refocus and realign what I wanted to do with my work and my life. And so now I live the gig life. I am the visual arts writer for Scene. I also work for a catering company out of Columbus, Ohio called Concert Kitchen. Shout out! And we do like the behind the scenes, like feeding the tour crew and the local crew and the bands and stuff, and that's a lot of fun. It's hard work, but it's great. I bartend for banquets, and and I hang out. I'm a Cronie,
Love it.
I believe I'm using Cronie in the right way, in the right context. If not,
not crone, because crone is an old age woman, right? But a Cronie would be like a partner in crime. That's how I think about it. Am I right?
Oh yeah, I'm that's accurate.
Yeah. So for those folks who don't know, Dorothy and I went to high school together, and I graduated with her brother, and she graduated with my brother, and so we've known each other for years and years and years.
My goodness.
Even back in those days, the Schneider family was a creative family. We always kind of
and
figured
the Millers as well. I mean, come on.
All right, so we're going to start off. As you folks know, what we do is for everybody who shares the next episode, we draw out giveaways. And last week we interviewed Midnight Syndicate. And Midnight Syndicate, I kind of consider them,
awesome. So good.
Like the Sound of Halloween is, or the Sound of October, although they do.
It's their sound. There's no other sound.
And Douglas gave us a whole bunch of things, and what we're going to do is we're going to give away 4 things today, and I think we caught a whole bunch of kind of those Halloween folks busy and kind of sleeping because there's not a ton of names in here, so everybody who's in has a really good chance of winning. So, all right, we're going to start with the zombies, the soundtracks. So, Dott, if you could pull out.
Or is that more Frankenstein? Okay, here we go.
Frankenstein.
Here's one.
All right.
It's like one of those, like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
You like butter. Kelly Chaff.
Kelly Chaff, you've got the zombie soundtrack. Kelly is one of those folks who, she's actually my niece.
Oh, that's great.
My niece, but she shares all the time. So Kelly, you've got yourself
Yay.
the zombie sound. Zombie, it's actually, they did the CD for gaming.
Oh, no.
So it goes
great.
along with some gaming, but it works well completely on the sound. All right, we're going to do Carnival Arcane. Carnival Arcane is, we heard from last week, is Gavin's favorites CD. He's the other one who helps with those soundscapes. And this is...
It's Craig Lax. I hope I'm not
Craig Lau.
Craig Lau. Excuse me, L-A-U-X.
All right.
Hey! Right on.
Craig Lau, Carnival Arcane.
Lau.
You'll have to give me your address, Craig, so we can get this to you right away.
Yeah. Hey, this is like a really cavernous sounding room, so I hope it's not blowing everybody's earbuds out.
Yeah, hopefully folks...
I get really excited, so just saying.
Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
This, Ed said, was one of his top 2 of his 18. So this is the Ghostly Gathering. It's so we're gonna pick the winner of the 3rd.
I love that it's like, you know, oop, wrong hat. I feel like it's gonna demon come out here. Bugs Bunny is
Pull a rabbit out of there. Yeah.
Exactly. Jerry Schmidt.
Jerry Schmidt.
Hey, we were just talking about it.
Yeah, Jerry. You've got another CD, so you can.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, and then the last we're giving away the Dead Matter movie.
Dead Matter movie.
The Dead Matter movie also has the soundtrack and a greatest hits CD in here as well. So this is going to be the big giveaway.
Very
All right,
exciting.
they pull out a good name.
Oh, okay.
Is your name in here?
My name is not in here because I didn't share. Wow. Robert Knotts.
Yeah.
Or Robert Nats.
Robert Nass. There you go. Robert, we'll be getting these out to you. So if you guys are hearing, send me an instant message with your address because I have to send these out to you guys. I've been bad at getting out, so I have some comic books to give away and some other things to give.
Tetsukura. And that was a good one. That was a good one.
Anyways, so for those who share this episode as well, Dorothy, you are going to give away an original piece of artwork. Tell us about it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's my Carol Merrill moment. So this is a piece that was done in, 2008. I was living in Las Vegas, and I was looking for I was just kind of like futzing around. You know, in the desert, things dry really quickly, and so I had brought stuff out into my little patio. And I was like, you know, kind of like wondering how things, you know, I was just kind of experimenting with media. And, but on January 1st, New Year's Day, 2008, I had gone out to Lake Mead, like just, before you enter it, because I lived like 3 minutes away by car. And I decided to take photos, and I had come across, I was just like taking shots of like rocks and things like that, and just stuff of interest for me, for reference. And I zoomed in on this hole, and I was like, oh, that's a tarantula burrow, because it had like silk in it and everything. And so I was just explaining to you, and I'm sure like a couple of other people have heard this story before, but when I pulled the camera away and I looked down, it's like when you have an ant on your concrete porch or your porch, and you notice the ant, and then you're focusing on the ant, and then you see all the other ants around it. That's exactly what happened to me. I pulled the camera away, and I like looked, and I'm like, oh, there's a lot of tarantula burrows here. Now, tarantulas are very shy. You know, they're very shy unless you poke them. Then they can jump up supposedly 5 feet in the air, which is not something I ever want to do. But so that the show was titled Burrows. And a burrow can be anything, because the tarantula, I want to say, is, you know, kind of it will gentrify a burrow from another animal, or create its own burrow, or steal a burrow. And just the whole idea behind it in the desert, and just, you know, the visual of it just really sparked a good thinking and turning point. Just like, and I just started just going for it and getting really prolific with doing the work. And then when I moved back to Cleveland, I was actively looking for a gallery to show the work in, and Hillary Gent, who owns Hedge, offered me my solo exhibition. So I've been with her gallery since then, since 2010.
And that's down at the 78th Street Studio.
That's
right?
correct. That's correct. And she's fantastic, and I'm proud to be part of that corral of artists. Yeah, the roster of artists is really great. So this is burrow number 5.
Wow. So.
And this is gouache, fabric dye, coffee, and oil stick, as well as graphite. And yeah, so that's my story.
Thank you. So
I don't know if you want to zoom
I'm going to zoom in. Can you see that? You give me the.
That's good right there.
So this is an original piece of artwork. Everybody who shares, we're going to go ahead and draw next week and give this away. And okay, I see your work up there, and I love the way that it's displayed. But tell me a little bit about so while we're looking at this work, tell me a little bit about, because you were talking about soils before.
Yeah. So I collect kind of like artifacts to me and soil, which I use. This is Monkey.
Oh, Monkey.
Monkey von Schneider Lanza. So I collect soil and other objects and things that I can crush down to make into to use in their raw form. Sometimes I do for my paintings, but I also will crush them down and create my own paint with them. So you have a pigment, and you have, your oil, which is the binder, and then you have your vehicle, which is, we don't use turpentine anymore because that will really get you sick, but, terpenoid to extend it, and that's why, that's why I use soil in my work. And I love to go on road trips, and I did one with my husband 3 years ago called Soil Souls, that I am working on, so people will finally get their pieces, because I had done a GoFundMe and to raise money to do this actual trip, and so I'm very excited to be busting out some stuff.
So is that what I'm seeing back here? Yeah, tell us about that.
So it came from. So I've been refusing to get bifocals, so if I keep going through. So this is near the petrified forest in Arizona, which I've got a funny story I'll tell you in a second about that, because we blew a tire out, and it was in the middle of nowhere, and I saved that tire, like the shredded tire, and I made an art piece with that, and somebody possesses that now. This is soil from Shamrock, Texas. This is from Kentucky, which you would not expect, like your Bowling Green. I did not expect to see. Launch. What you doing, Val? Come on. Here we go. I did not expect to see like this color, this really great ochre when I was there. So I was very excited about that. This is from Route 66 in Arizona. There's still some vegetation in it.
Oh yeah.
Which is really cool. But it's really cool. I like to put my hands in it and stare at it. Like you do in a studio. I mean, that's what happens. This is Kentucky shale, which is different from Ohio shale. It is fragile, but that's fine. It's all going to get crushed down, so it's not, it's not precious.
Yeah.
It's precious, but it's not precious. In that, like, if it gets clocked down, But so I sifted through and through my little hand sifter and do what I can to create artworks with it, and it's just interesting to me, like the process. I feel like there's an energy that comes from the soil that it's just really meditative. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. But yeah, there's an energy that comes from the soil. There's an energy, and I feel like a real visceral connection to the Southwest as well. So that's why, like, road trips and like the desert and soil, and there's something about it that I'm trying to figure it out creatively. Like, what is it, and psychologically, what is so important about the soil that I got to get in it and I got to do something with it. So it's an ongoing process. It's, yeah.
Does anybody else out there, if you have any questions or whatever, is anybody else out there kind of in Watcherland right now who does any work with soils or crushing down vegetation or woods or stuff? I mean, comment. We'd be interested in hearing that. For sure. If there's any questions, Craig will shoot those over to us here as well.
Your wife said that cats really like you and that they like it at your house too.
That's great.
Well, we have a dog, and it's not that I dislike cats, but my mom is allergic to them, and so we've just not had them. But she loves cats.
Yeah, cats are they're super beings.
And a few months ago, we were doing an interview with Neil Zaza, and his cat was walking up on the keyboards and walking around, just part of the whole process.
That's
in
awesome.
The interview. Soils. So that's something that the soils and that connection to the Southwest is something you've been doing for a decade and a half, 15 years.
It's been. Well, my first trek to the desert, I want to say, was 1997.
Oh, okay.
Or 1995 or 1997, one of the two. But just driving through the Southwest, and then having just gone to going to Las Vegas, and then just exploring and doing cross country road trips. That has been. I've just been fascinated by the geography and the topography of the land. Just like it's incredible. Utah is breathtaking. It really is, and I'm excited to be, to try and explore northern Utah in the near future. But like southern Utah is just unreal, and it's quiet. That's the one thing about like in Death Valley, in the Devil's Golf Course, you're standing there and all you hear is this, and you taste the salt on your lips, and it's really, you're just like, oh man, it is really exquisitely serene.
Yeah.
And it's there's something about it that just like it just moves through you, And so whenever I can get there, I gotta go.
I would say that when folks connect to environments and hearing that you're collecting the soils with different pigments and you're using that in your artwork, that doesn't happen on its own. Usually there's here's my very freshman viewpoint on it. That's kind of advanced to me. I mean, in other words, that's processing. That's a different level in terms of processing an artwork, I think, than a lot of folks experience. So,
well,
give me a
well,
thoughts.
here's the things that so my mom went to she took some classes at CIA. Okay, and she also she was at Tri-C, and I remember her making her own tempera paint, with pigments and the egg, the egg yolk, and then also making her own charcoals and making, pastels, and I was just like, this is really cool. This whole process is really cool. So when I was in art school, in France, I attended the Beaux-Arts for 2 years and got their 2-year degree, which was rad. It was the most wonderful artistic, really crossed all the synapses, but they were like, okay, we're going to go to, get some pigments, and we're going to teach you how to mix your own paints. And pigments really are crushed rock, crushed rock, dried, whatever, vegetation. But again, you're just, you're crushing that pigment down to that pigment's in its form, and it's that process. It's that process of like making it and then applying it, which is to me a really important and exciting factor to create not just to create the image, but to integrate the process with the visual.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, I don't feel like it's advanced. I just feel like, oh my God, everybody makes their own paints, and then I found out that not everybody makes their own paints. I was like, oh, yeah, which is fine too, like in the tube is rad, because that makes it immediate. Like you gotta, you're able to get in and do it. In the mixing of colors, that's advanced. Like that's an advanced thing that there are artists that are way far superior to me that are getting in the grind on.
Tell me more about those early years. So I had mentioned, for those of you who have watched from early on, you heard me say that Dorothy and I and her family, we went to school together, high school together. And I was just, oh, that Schneider family, they're this creative tribe that lives up on the other side of town. But I mean, so if your mom is mixing paint,
my dad's like,
yeah,
my dad's like, putting together Aston Martins, like it was a full on, everybody worked with their hands, that's the kind of world we grew up in, so we actually grew up in Old Brooklyn, and then we moved to Independence in 1980. And that's when I started in the 7th grade in Independence High School, or middle school rather. But yeah, it's a history of a family that works with their hands. We don't shy away from work.
Yeah.
But we also watched a lot of PBS. I always remember watching I Love Opera because we used to watch Der Fledermaus, on VIZ and Wagner's Ring and also MST3K, Mystery Science Theater 3000 people, with the family, and it was like Jeopardy and, just like kind of, watching that kind of cerebral fun things. And then, we would have games at the table, we'd play Scrabble, so it was like not just, making things. And my mom had a book called The Big Book of Fun, and it was I'm probably this thick, and we'd all like tear out a sheet and be like, this is what we want to do, and then we'd do crafts like based around that, and it was awesome. And we made our own Christmas ornaments, and it was just a really cool time growing up, and it was a really good foundation, I guess, for like who we are today, So
parents out there who are raising the little ones,
read to them.
Read to them. Yeah, have them work with their hands, right?
You have one of these.
What the heck?
This is the dictionary for my parents' house that we used to play Scrabble. And also, when we found out what the word euphemism meant, my mom would say, like, how do you spell that? Spell it phonetically. We're like, and so euphemism is a euphemism for toilet, by the way, which is I say when I say I have to use the euphemism, that's why, because my mom was a smart ass that used the dictionary.
Right, the dictionary. So childhood, you're exposed to mixing your own paints. Yeah. It was creative all year long.
Oh yeah.
You have a creative family, a creative mother, father, family unit, and then you find yourself kind of in the education process. Tell us kind of the education that you received, maybe grade school, maybe high school, into the college or your formal training, and kind of how that.
Well, when I was in the gifted program at Benjamin Franklin Elementary when we were in Cleveland, and so I was in arts. I was learning French from 2nd to 6th grade. I played violin, which I was really not great at, but you had to pick an instrument, which was fine. And then we moved to Independence, Ohio, and they didn't have an orchestra there, so I was like, what do I, So it was kind of this weird, like really immersed in like all these cool art things and cultural creative things, and then I get to Independence and I'm like, you don't have an orchestra. So I had my Woody Allen moment where he's like playing the cello, running with his chair. That was me. Mr. Kaminsky actually had me in the marching band, like playing a viola, walking, and I was just like, what is going on? I'm like, I guess this is my life, But art school and high school was really a real good respite for me, because I kind of felt like an outsider. And Diane Ballas, shout out, was our art instructor, as you know. Yeah. And she was really open-armed, welcoming, and just really, made me think about the art that I was making. Not just, don't just make it, but like think about what you're making. And that was a really important for me, and formed a great worldview, and just gave me a foundation for learning, like thinking about what I'm doing, as opposed to just doing something. And then Mr. Pei, Thomas Pei, rest in peace. He was our humanities instructor, and he was just fantastic. He was just the greatest guy, and he always told us to carry our baloney detector, to make sure that you knew if somebody was like BSing you or not. He was, but he also, you know, took us to the art museum and had us write about it, and that was really cool. But I didn't take any language until I graduated and I went to Cleveland State, and I met a French gentleman, and I took some immersive, you know, I'm going like way then into the early 90s, but I'd taken an immersive French class where we were dissecting Sartre and Camus, and that was fantastic. That really like sparked a lot of like thinking. And then then I moved over to then I moved to France after marrying this guy. I moved to France, and it was like, oh, okay, well, I've been dabbling in art and all this stuff. I should probably try and get into something while I was over there. And you know, when I was in my mid-20s, I was like, whatever, you know. But I got it together, honed it down, got a portfolio, and did a 3-day entrance exam. The school is in French. It's not an American university or a university where you pay. It's like the Cooper Union in New York, where you do an entrance exam and you have a portfolio review, and it was a very difficult process. And I was trying, you know, you've got to do critique with slides. And I'm trying to remember how to write a sentence in French. I'm like, oh, you know, I guess I'm going to write how I speak, which thankfully I made sense because I got in.
Yeah. And
that was like 700 people trying to get into 68 spots. And so I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, well, here I am. And, you know, I was in the studio, it was open from 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 at night, and I was there the whole time, just rocking it.
And what were you doing at that point?
Well, we did foundation. So that was my college. So that was my art school. So the first year was foundation, but you know, we didn't have written exams. You know, each semester was like a Bachelor of Fine Arts thesis review. So you had to corral your peers and the instructors, and make sure that they didn't wander off, and capture their attention and talk about your work and what, you know, and dissect it and stuff. All in French, which is, it was something. But, you know, I got through the 2 years. You know, the marriage didn't work out, but that's okay. You know, so I came back, and was that TMI?
No, that was good. I mean, that's part of the journey, right?
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Because that explains why you're back here in the
exactly.
States and here in Cleveland, too.
Yeah. So I had, then I moved back to Cleveland, and, you know, I was kind of like, don't know what to do, just kind of working office jobs again. And, I really don't think that I found my ground again until I had my show in 2006 at the 1300 Gallery, which was run by Michael Parks, Marty Jeremita, and Derek Hess at the time. And it was a great space, and Julia Toke gave me an opportunity to have a solo exhibition there. And I was like, oh, okay. And I just worked, concentrated, and it was I was stunned at how many people showed up for the opening reception, because I was like, oh. And that was that. My dad came to the show and he said, "Okay, I understand now," which was a huge compliment. You know, that he was there, and it's like, I get it. Like, okay, so you're an artist, and I was like, I guess I am. You know, and then moved to Vegas, was there for 3 years, moved back, and and then I've just been rocking it out.
Rocking it out ever since then.
Yeah.
Now you write for Scene magazine.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. So artist, writer.
Yeah.
So
I don't have a journalism degree. I just want to put that out there. It was an opportunity was made available to me. And I've had, you know, through the years, people have asked me to write, and I'm like, I'm not a writer. But finally, you know, the opportunity presented itself, and I was like, I started doing it. I'm like, I really like this. I like getting, you know, I like talking with people about their work, and I like, you know, telling other people about it in a way that's not as academic. you know, as one would find in, you know, other publications. Because my job, I feel it's my responsibility to take the woman that's 2 doors down from me and have her read a review or a spotlight on an artist and be sparked by that and be interested that she's going to go, oh, you know, and maybe go check out a show, or maybe check out the work of that particular artist, you know, or at least just absorb it, like sit and read it and go, oh, okay, so this is kind of neat, this is kind of neat, you know, or like recommend it to their family. So that's my goal, is to reach somebody that an audience that isn't necessarily the people in the art scene, you know, because it gets nepotistic. Nepotistic? There's nepotism. No, how?
Nepotistic.
No, that's not the word. In store.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nepotistic is not a word. Is that? Let's look it up in the dictionary.
Let's look it up in the dictionary. You got it there.
I'm going to do it.
While you're looking that up, look it up.
I am.
So while you're looking that up, again, now be this a good time for questions for everybody who shares. I'm glad that you signed this, so I know which way to hold it.
Yeah.
And so for everybody who shares, next week we're going to draw a piece of this original artwork of Dorothy's again. You had heard that she makes her own paints at times.
There's nepotic or nepotist, but not nepotistic.
Oh, my wife is going to be so, because she loves words and she loves what you're doing right now. So. So everybody who shares will be drawing a piece of Dott's original artwork next week. But so we covered a whole bunch of things. I want to come back to one more question about the education, and then we might have Craig kind of lift up and come over your shoulder, just tell us a little bit about kind of what's here as we kind of talk for the next 10 or 15 minutes. But how important do you think it is to have a kind of that formal training? And by formal training, I mean, that post high school. Yeah, post high school. Yeah.
Now that's a really good question.
Yeah.
Because I have met artists who have had formal training and artists who have not had formal training, and to me, it's all about how you learn. Not about where you're learning it, because you can take a class and just be sparked by it, and just go, oh, this is kind of cool, and then just dive into your own thing. There are self-taught artists out there, Dana Oldfather, Justin Brennan, Dottie Cooper, that have, they've just found their way, and Samantha Bias, another artist that I interviewed, and it's really fantastic. And they just started doing it. And they're like, I'm just going to keep doing it, and their work ethic is right there, and they're just on it all the time. And so I think it's something that for me, it was beneficial to have a formal education, because I was not, the Beaux-Arts notwithstanding, like I also attended an atelier in Paris for a year to prepare for that, where I was taking figure drawing 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, where I actually made frescoes, like we mixed the lime and, mixtures and everything. And, and you went out into the cold and like reproduced like statues and, drawings of statues. And that was beneficial for me only because I really hungered for that. But I don't think that it is important for everybody to have that. I think that if you have the drive, then you're going to do it.
Yeah.
It's just like any other, well, I mean, if you're a doctor, you should probably have formal training, like that's important. But I mean, with any creative drive, anybody that wants to be an artist can be an artist. It's just how you apply yourself and how you apply the medium to what you have to say and what your context is.
Yeah, I think that. I think a lot of folks will say, like, so tell me a little bit about the artists you interview, the creative folks you interview on Tues 8/7, and one of probably the most important thing is that I'm interviewing people who create, right? Because you might be creative and you may be an artist, but if you're not producing, and then you're kind of sitting on that talent, or the blessing, or however you want to, you know, I'm interested in people who have that discipline and who are producing.
Sure.
I think Ted Sikora a few weeks ago said, start something and finish it. Start it and finish it. Start and finish it until you get to that habit.
Yeah. Now there's some people that are deadline oriented, and there are some people that are like they have to make something every single day. Like I interviewed Katie Richards, who's fantastic, who she'll be in the scene like a few weeks from now. She has to produce every day. She's in the studio every single day, and because she can't not be in the studio. Now mine, like I do a lot of research before I even, you know, and I have to have everything planned out before I even get into the thing. Yeah, but that's my process. So everybody's process is different. So you know, I may not, like, one may not be physically actually producing something, but if you're in the studio and you're sitting there, you may be analyzing a piece that you've been working on, or you may be reading like a passage of, you know, in some book that you're trying to like get a grip on and try and like, you know, regurgitate that visually. You know, there are a lot of sound artists that like, they may not be producing the you know, everything together at once, but they're doing pieces, parts. You know, Matthew Gallagher, I just did an interview with him, and he had an installation at Studio H, or H Space, which was fantastic. I mean, it was really physically vibrating, you know, literally. And so, yeah, so it's just whatever you do, you got to take it into account. Like, everybody works differently.
Great to have it. So tell us a little bit about how you work. I'm going to push this chair just out to the side.
Boy.
Yeah, let us see a little bit about kind of what's here.
Oh yeah,
and,
so I got a lot of artifacts for me in my travels, and also, you know, there are things that like, let me get this out of the way. I work with fabric, so my media, I work with a lot of stuff. So it's, for a long time, it's been primer, rock salt, fabric dye, whether it's liquid or powdered, soil, then I'll integrate paint or oil stick or what have you within it. I've done prints of with motor oil of this head gasket for my dad's Aston Martin, which is just a gorgeous object. Look at this thing.
Yeah.
It's just really here. Yeah, it's really cool.
Ooh.
I want you to touch it. I want you to.
I want you to kind of bend it.
Yeah, it's really awesome. And then I've got the 6 pistons that go in it. There's only 5 here. I know where the 6th one is, but I'm trying to do like a mold of it, and that's down in the basement.
Okay.
I don't want anybody to see it because it's weird looking. But it's, you know, that's something that I'll be using later.
As a piece.
But yeah, so this is I did these 4 monoprints with this on the blueprints, or the HVAC schematics for the old health museum on East 55th Street that my dad did the HVAC on because he was a pipe fitter. But he also like rebuilt Aston Martins, and he was in the Aston Martin Owners Club East chapter, and so a lot of the Aston Martin stuff sold, but the pistons and the head gasket really didn't have any like commercial value. So my eldest brother Al, asked me if I would like to have them, to do something with them, and I was like, oh yeah, oh absolutely. And so the story behind those monoprints is they were titled Vocation and Avocation, and it is a discussion about, you know, your creative side and your work side, and how they mix together and how you balance that, you know. And so it was kind of autobiographical, but also about my dad, and so that was kind of cool. This is a job my sister got for me for my birthday.
Which sister?
My sister, Jennifer.
Okay.
Yeah, so she's my youngest and my only sister. I always tell her she's my favorite sister. She's like, I'm your only sister. I'm like, I know. But look at this. It's like, it's just so wonderful. What a wonderful thing, you know, and rest this buffalo that passed, you know, for this, so that I could hold it in my hands and like really, you know, experience something out of it. It's just a really cool, beautiful piece, you know, with such a noble animal.
Yeah, it's tactile.
Yeah, you could
Yeah.
really clock someone with that, like 2001. You know, it's how it starts, people.
Yeah.
And then we've got the pistons from the Aston as well, which to me kind of look like birdhouses. And they've got like this really cool patina on top, and all the etching in there. They're just really groovy with numbers. I'm like, it's a mysterious. If you didn't know what it was, and you picked it up, like you dug it up as an archaeologist years ago, like, what is this ancient birdhouse? These are rocks from near Roswell that were part of an installation piece. This is the thing though. So this is the puzzle piece that you have in your
on the cover there.
Yeah. So let me tell you a story. So I moved to Las Vegas in 2006, and we had gone to the drive-in movie theater, which is the most amazing thing ever. It's open 365 days a year. The Las Vegas 5, it's so good. But The Hills Have Eyes remake was playing, okay? And we're in the desert, So we go see the film, and like 2 weeks later, it's like, hey, let's go up, check out the mountain, the hills and stuff, up the street. I'm like, okay, cool. So I brought some drawing stuff with me, and we had like the newspaper, and so I'm sitting there, I'm like, I can't just draw. I need to go in,
Yeah.
So I was very happy to have boots that were, my Doc Martens that were up high, because I almost stepped on a rattlesnake. But so I was just climbing this hill, and then all of a sudden I had like that horror movie panic moment where it's like, oh no, I'm in the desert, and I look, and the car looked like a matchbox. Like I swear I did not go up that far, but it was really small, and I'm like, I'm not going to be able to run down fast enough. He's not going to be able to run up fast enough. I got to get out of here. And so, so I was walking down, because you can't walk down the same way you walk up, because it's just a strange terrain. So I started walking down, and I kicked this thing, and I looked down, and here's this. And I had not
just
walked,
like that.
Yeah, not walked 10 feet. Well, it was on this side, which was bleached at the time. Well, this is all stuff from, I had done prints and stuff like that on this. So this side was facing up. I'm like, well, that's weird. So I kicked it over to make sure nothing was living in it or underneath it. And it doesn't, like, I did several replicas. It doesn't fit into itself. And so, like, there's weird writing on it. And I can't tell if it was from a sign or anything like that. I have been searching since 2006, people, geocaching and everything. I can't find a thing about this. If you know anything about this puzzle piece, please let me know. Because I replicated this, like, I don't know how many times for a show called The Missing Piece at Hedge. And it's just such a weird thing. And it's almost like a talisman, I don't know. It's like one of those things that I'm like, oh, I'm so sick of this. I should probably just chuck it back in the desert. But then I'm like, oh, I don't know. Why do I have this thing? Is this my missing piece? Like, what is the deal?
What is it?
Yeah. So this.
I love that story.
This was my favorite when I did the Certified Volunteer Naturalist course. Everybody had to give a story. I was like, here's my story.
That's a great story.
What?
Is this Jawbone?
Yeah, it is. As a matter of fact.
Yeah, so that's
motor oil, soil, oil, and graphite on birch plywood.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
I love that. Tell us a little bit about these pieces here on the wall as well.
So these are done. These are like a little series that I did with shale and glitter, and primer. So I just kind of I'm hesitant to use swear words, but I was dicking around in the studio, and and I did a series of 5, but I had sold one just today, before you guys.
Well, congratulations!
Yeah.
Somebody's got a great piece.
So that was fun, yeah. And so so that's what this series came about.
Do you entitle your work?
What's that?
Do you title your work?
Yeah, so I do by series. This series, if you don't mind, is the Shale series.
The Shale series.
Yeah. 2018 I did those. And those are hanging a hedge for a while.
5 pieces, and over here to.
So this is part of this was part of the road trip, as well as the jawbone. You see the jawbone in there. Teeth are something that I've used in my work for a long time. Just the symbolism behind teeth, you know, with the virility and losing one's teeth, taking a bite out of life, you know, that whole thing. So these are 2 pieces that were in there. The framing are tomato steaks. Oh. And that piece that you're zooming in on right now is, that is, when my father passed away, I was holding his hand, and I felt the wave, the cold wave, go from his fingertips up his hand as he was leaving this earth. Yeah. And that's when I called my mom in, and to take hold of him, his hand, to guide him in his journey. But that's what this piece is about. It was the wave of cold coming across. And this one's a self-portrait. It's actually a homage to Philip Guston, with my little self-portrait in the bottom there, a little cavity jar. I just thought that was funny. Yeah. So I put it in there. But these are actually, these 2 pieces I had repurposed. Those are actually burrow paintings from my very first show that I repurposed for the road trip, because it was an important thing for me to do that, to just kind of have that full circle of, you know, showing at the 1300 gallery, then coming back and doing the Burroughs show, and then doing another solo exhibition. I just felt it was really poignant. There's a couple pieces here on the ground that catch my eyes. Oh wow! Tell me a little bit about that, and if anybody has any questions out there. Oh yeah, I can bring them up if it's easier. Yes. So these, oh, that's so funny. These are pieces. These are titled Ghost 1 and Ghost 2. These are based on that head gasket. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, oops. I got a Gina DeSantis ceramics wind chimes, which are fantastic. Yeah. So these are charcoal and drawing on blueprint, and with sanded frame. Yeah, they're kind of goth, but I really like them anyway. Yeah. Because they remind me of like which one's Ghost 1 and which one's Ghost? Is that the title? Yeah, the titles are Ghost 1 and Ghost 2, and I think I put them on the back. This is Ghost 1. This is Ghost 2. So Ghost 1 on this side, Ghost 2 on this side. Sorry guys. Here, let me do this. Maybe this is easier. Ghost 1. There we go. Is that easier for you? Yeah. But yeah, they remind me of like the grimy mechanic garage, the floor of the mechanic's garage. Yeah. And so this template here, yeah, you're using exactly. Yeah. I see it. Wow. And then these two, the two pieces that have the insane amount of glitter on them. This is Red Rock Canyon. This is based on the fires in Red Rock Canyon. So I remember watching about the fires, and then I remember after the fact driving through Red Rock Canyon to get in there, and it was all charred stubs of Joshua trees. It was eerie, horrific, and beautiful at the same time. Mm-hmm. And I threw the glitter in. To me, this is fire. To me, this, the stumpy stumps and the fire and the glitz of Las Vegas. Because people think about, Las Vegas, there's nothing to do besides gamble. I'm like, no, there are other things. There are like really important things you should go see. You should go check out the area surrounding. Like it's very important and it should be preserved. And people, you got to be careful. Don't flick a cigarette out in the canyon, you dummy. Don't do that. Because you're destroying a whole ecosystem. What's going on? And it drives me bananas. And I think about the wildfires going on in California right now, and that just, it's just, yeah. So anyway. So as we kind of wrap up the interview,
Tell us a little bit about what's cool in Cleveland. I mean, there's people who watch from all over the world and
oh yeah, there's
the country
so many
too.
things going on.
Because I know that you're plugged into, do a lot of interviews. You do the catering, also to help you produce stuff, right?
Yeah. So that that's a good moneymaker, and that's a lot of fun. But like as far as like the things happening in Cleveland right now is in the art scene. There's the Graffiti Heart, which is run by Stami Paul, which is a fantastic venue for graffiti and street artists. It's really great. It's on the east side. And then we've got spaces. We've got the Transformer Station, which everybody, I found out in my interview with Taylor Soren, who's got a show there right now. Everybody wants to show there because it's such a fantastic venue. But also, you've got the Screw Factory, and they're the artists that are in there that have open studios. You've got 78th Street Studios, which has Third Fridays, and then you've got like pockets of galleries like Rant Gallery, which I will be showing at November 15th. Be there. It's a great group show, and Dan Miller does a fantastic job. I love his work and I respect him as a gallerist as well. But yeah, you've got there are so many things going on in the city that is fantastic. It's just to try and list them, it would be as thick as this dictionary. I mean, it really, there's so many things going on. There's art at Worthington Yards downtown that's going on, which is really exciting, and to check out artwork there is something I think that people should do. But yeah, you've got like Parma Art Space in Parma, Ohio, which you're like, Parma, but it's a great space, and Sean Mabine does it, or Mabin, I'm never sure how I pronounce your name, sorry Sean, but Sean does a great job bringing in artists, and you had the Cleveland Photo Fest, Laura D'Alessandro and Herb Asherman, and Alia, they did a great job, bringing focus on photography in Cleveland. Then you've got the Cleveland Print Room, which they do a fantastic job of bringing the community in, and there's a dark room there that artists can use, photographers can use. There's Art House over on Denison that invites the community to come in and do fantastic stuff, and create and just, everybody's there, and I get excited and I'm losing my words, but there's so much going on here. It's just mind-blowing.
Amazed to turn over the talent and see what's going on. A lot of folks ask, what's the intention behind Tues 8-7, and there's no agenda. It's kind of aligning a creative community. We're from Cleveland, but there's folks all over the place, and so there's a reach all over the country and even some other countries. But one of the questions that I often ask the artists who we kind of interview, and I mean, not only did we know each other kind of growing up, but we've seen each other at 78th Street Studios, we're connected on Facebook, and so we've all kind of kept track of each other. But for somebody who is an aspiring artist, creative, regardless of the age, what's a piece of advice that you might, piece of wisdom that you might provide?
Read.
Read what? Read.
Just immerse yourself in reading actually physically picking up a book and reading whatever interests you, and letting your imagination run free. Learn about, if you're interested in photography, learn about it. Go check out stuff. Go to shows. Go to art exhibitions. They're free. Yeah. That's the advice that I have. Go to art shows. Go check out the work live. And it's free. Talk to people. So you should also read, but talk to people about their work. Don't be afraid to approach the artist, because 9 out of 10 times the artist is more afraid of you than you are of it. Just go to shows and produce. Read, produce, go to shows, network in, and find kind of live out that. But just talk to the artist, talk to other people about if you see work and somebody's standing next to you, say you're at the art museum and you're standing in front of, we'll just say you're standing in front of Monet's Les Neufs. And you see somebody standing there next to you, go, what do you think about this? It's such an easy question to ask, because art is all about creating a dialogue. Right. and you know, and that's how we can, you know, move further, is like to talk to people about it, and you know, so it doesn't necessarily have to be the artist, but it can be other people at the show.
Well,
You know, did that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
So
I
for
hope so.
everybody, so I am going to quote you that art is about creating dialogue.
It is.
Because I think that's
I fully endorse that.
that's a great way to kind of end it. For everybody who shares next week, we're going to give an original piece of Dott's work away next week. If you've won one of the Midnight Syndicate CDs, please instant message me or private message me your address so I can send it out. Guys, thank you for spending your Tuesdays with us. We have a lot coming up. I don't usually release it till sometimes midweek.
Okay.
There's a Tuesday at 7 Facebook group.
Oh, okay.
There's hundreds of people there. It's just kind of more information than just this, and we're going to push out information about you, and you're going to see information about the other artists who are part of that group. It's just, I mean, it's kind of promoting within. It's kind of connecting people with the immense talent that we have within the members. But
Yeah.
Dorothy, thank you.
What a pleasure. Thank you so much. What a gas. Like thanks.
That's
Like,
good.
I always feel like I don't have anything to say, but you made me feel like I had something to say.
And you have and a great way to for me to learn a little bit about what you've been doing here
Right on,
since
yeah.
you know we left last.
Right.
Thank you guys again, and share out, guys, and we'll stay connected. All right, thanks.
Thanks.